Once upon a time, there was bodybuilding. Bodybuilding was a way to build your body and mind through the use of weights and calisthenic exercises. One day, bodybuilding met powerlifting. They both had a lot in common and decided to get married. They would basically finish each other's sentences. They had a baby that they decided to call strength training because it contained a bit of each of them. Eventually, bodybuilding and powerlifting got a divorce. Bodybuilding ran off with the IFBB and has been unrecognizable ever since. Powerlifting got full custody of strength training. When I started my journey of bulk or bust, I went on to gain 90 pounds in about 2 years. I wanted two things. Besides a beard and a ponytail, I wanted to be big and strong. If you were to tell me, Alan, you can build more muscle than just your quads, torso, and glutes. You can also build your arms, shoulders, lats, chest with some targeted work, I would have said, sounds stupid. Why, as a guy who wanted to be big, would I stick my nose up at isolation work? If my goal was to build a big physique, a big, powerful looking physique, why not utilize tried and true exercises to help me achieve this? The reason was titles, labels. I am a strong man. I am a power lifter. I am not a bodybuilder. Even though that's exactly what I was trying to do, build my body, I didn't do curls, flies, tricep extensions, shoulder isolation exercises, abs, etc. because that's not what powerlifters do. No. I do real training. I don't waste my time on all that bodybuilder stuff. I stick to the basics because the basics work. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm coming to realize that my perception of bodybuilding has been skewed by the sport of professional bodybuilding. I've also listened to and believed a lot of the misconceptions and lies that have degraded what natural bodybuilding actually is. Let me explain. I'm a gym owner. I have met a lot of people who lift weights. I have heard many stories that start like this. Yeah, I used to follow some bullshit bodybuilding program, but now I'm interested in real training. Or, yeah, I wasted my time in my early 20s doing some bodybuilding program. Hearing stuff like this would subconsciously enter my mind and get me to believe that bodybuilding is BS. It's just a waste of time. The truth is, these guys weren't bodybuilding. They were just dicking around in the gym. It was never bodybuilding's fault, it was user error. This would be the equivalent to me going to the gym and doing some power cleans, some ugly jerks, and skipping the snatch because I just don't like doing it. And then telling people, yeah, I used to follow some bullshit Olympic weightlifting program, but now I want to do some real training. So it seemed like bodybuilding in my mind was one extreme or the other. It was either the dudes and the chicks who were on enough drugs to kill a herd of cattle, or it was the guy in the gym texting on his phone for 10 minutes, floating around the gym, farting around in the gym on the cable tricep press down machine, who's apparently following a bodybuilding program. And how many times have you heard about someone wasting their time on a Men's Health magazine bodybuilding program? We call this a bad bodybuilding program, but in reality it's just a bad program. In fact, people even refer to gyms this way. I just saw on Instagram the other day someone talking about their lame bodybuilding gym where everyone was on their phones and everyone has bad technique. I'd be willing to bet it was just a commercial gym. It wasn't a bodybuilding gym. What does bodybuilding have to do with the turds using this public gym? Nothing, but a lot of people in the powerlifting space seem to talk this way. I want to travel back in time to when that bulking picture was taken. At this time, I was training with a group of guys, or I was training alongside a group of guys who most of them were using steroids. Test, D-ball, trend, toxic pro hormones, M-draw, H-draw, stuff that I would never imagine touching. I've always been averse to drug use. Even in high school when my best friends were doing drugs, I just hated it. I hated being part of it. So on top of this, these guys would train arms all the time. And so I associated drug use, these dudes who had huge arms and all they did was train arms, as I would just call them bodybuilders in my head. On top of all this, they teased me a lot for being a skinny natty. All you do is train legs, Thrall. When honestly I was training legs 2 times a week. They would just say this because I had bigger legs than them. So I correlated bodybuilding with these guys using steroids and all they do is train arms. So in my head, I'm telling myself bodybuilding is a waste of time. Bodybuilding is not real training. Bodybuilding is inferior to what I was doing. It's inferior to powerlifting. And as a side note, I'm fortunate that the two guys who got me into powerlifting and strongman were adamantly against drug use and steroids. So I was fortunate enough to have them as kind of my mentors when I first started out. Beyond my personal experience, if you've been paying attention to the YouTube fitness boom over the past 10 years, just think for a second how much fitness content has been published and consumed over the past 10 years. It's mind-boggling. If you've been witnessing this, you have witnessed the degradation of bodybuilding. Lifting weights has become more popular now than it has probably ever been. The amount of people who lift weights as exercise and as hobby seems to be higher now than it was 20 years ago. Go on social media, you'll see grandmas deadlifting, women squatting 400 pounds as a warm-up. I see that regularly here at Untamed Strength. Little kids doing more complex movements like snatches, and plenty of normal, average people lifting weights in the gym. I live in California. If I go on my phone to the maps and I type in gyms, it is a sea of blue dots. Gyms are everywhere and they're all busy. I say this because there are a lot of eyes on weight training. There are a lot of beginners' eyeballs on weight training. When these beginners go online and ask Google what they should do as a beginner, they're probably going to see a beginner program. Most beginner programs will talk about the basics: squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press. I understand why these movements are suggested, and I agree with it. But why do we have to stop there? Why can't beginners have a broader variety in exercise selection? Why can't they do dips, curls, sit-ups, pull-downs, flies? Are they too stupid to learn these movements? Obviously not. If they can learn how to do a barbell squat, they can learn how to do a barbell curl. And some people might say, well, doing those extra exercises is too much for a beginner. No, it's not. Everything in the gym is scalable. Let's not kid ourselves. We can scale down weight, sets, reps, frequency. You can make a program with more than 3 to 4 exercises work for a beginner. If I were to train a beginner for the Olympics in 20 years from now, I probably wouldn't start at the tip of specificity. I would start them with a broad foundation. And in 20 years, they would be much more specific. Lots of snatch and clean and jerk squats and presses. Like I mentioned in the make-believe story at the beginning of this video, powerlifting has adopted strength training. Squat, bench, deadlift, king of all exercises. I'm not here to argue with that. Squat, bench, deadlift will put a lot of muscle on your frame, and it should be incorporated in some way, some variety, in a beginner's program. But it doesn't need to stop there. Most people are not powerlifting for the sport of powerlifting. Most people are not solely interested in strength. They are interested in building muscle, improving physical and mental health, all while building a good base of strength. Why not give them the extra tools to help them accomplish this? Why do so many people hold on so tightly to squat, bench, deadlift? Myself included in the past. I haven't thought about it too much, but I do know right off the top of my head, a lot of it has to do with sales and content creation. When someone makes a beginner program, they tell everyone, this is the program, this is best, do it as written, don't ask questions, don't make adjustments, this is all you need. Just shut up and listen to me. I think of it like a billboard on the side of a highway. You don't want too many images and words on your billboard because people driving by will look right past it. They don't have time to see and read everything on the billboard. You need to get the message across as fast as possible. This is why a lot of beginner programs catch people's attention. You can figure it out after looking at it for 10 seconds. Many beginner programs have confused simple with minimalist. They are not the same thing. Minimalist programs have a place for certain individuals. If this person has time for one lift a couple times per week, or someone who spends most of their time doing another sport but needs minimal amount of strength training. This isn't the case for most beginners. A beginner does not need a minimalist program. They need a simple program. Fortunately, beginners aren't lifting that much weight. They only need a couple sets of each exercise. This means they have time for a few different exercises each day, 3 to 4 times per week, resulting in 9 to 12 different exercises in their program. And as far as content goes, it is popular to make YouTube shorts, Instagram stories, Snap talks, and Tik chats about beginner programs in 10 seconds. What beginners need in 4 seconds. Stop doing this, only do this, this works, that doesn't. It's epileptic content consumption and it gives me a headache. It takes time to watch a 40-minute video teaching you about beginner, intermediate, and advanced programs, teaching you the why and how to program, adjustments that can be made, rep ranges to follow, etc. If lifting weights is something you're going to do for the rest of your life, watch a 1-hour video to learn some things. Another term you've heard surrounding beginner programming, or even intermediate programs: KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Beginners don't need complexity. I agree with this, they don't. But adding in curls, push-ups, dips, pull-ups, isolation movements, along with compound movements, is not complex at all. We're not telling beginners to SSB squat with chains equaling 20% of your bar weight, do myo reps and blood flow restriction training. You need 30 weekly sets of 8 alternating bicep exercises, all while monitoring bar speed with a velocity tracker. Powerlifting has influenced weight training so much that anything beyond SBD is apparently complex. And don't get me wrong, I realize the positive impact that powerlifting has had. It has encouraged so many people to get a barbell in their hands and put a barbell on their back. But I still think bodybuilding, powerlifting, weight training is a bit imbalanced. Powerlifting seems to be in the driver's seat for strength and hypertrophy. I've seen plenty of times people point to big strongmen and powerlifters stating, "These guys got huge off of just 5 exercises." Which is believable for a beginner who doesn't know any better. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find out these dudes were on steroids. They were already genetically big dudes, with or without weight training. Some worked on farms while growing up. You worked on an iPad while growing up. But more important, they didn't just squat, bench, deadlift. Maybe that's all you saw because they competed as powerlifters, but what you didn't see was all the traditional bodybuilding movements that they did. So even if you are attracted to the training style of these strength athletes, realize that they did plenty of bodybuilding training to build a muscular base. Then they specialized in powerlifting.
Wait a minute, Sven. Something's wrong. Magnus, you're right. We're not bodybuilders. We don't dress up in small pants and wear oil. No, we're strong, man. This is not about technique and look pretty. We're here to move big weights. Yeah! Good. 2 more. Go on. 1 more.
So Magnus, what's all the dumbbell stuff about at the end? Pumping?
Yeah, I usually do a few pump sets where I start in the bottom of the rack and try to hit at least 7 reps with every weight. If I can finish with 7 reps, I continue into the next weight and just trying to finish the whole rack off.
Bodybuilding is hypertrophy training. The goal is to increase muscle size. This includes squatting, pressing, deadlifting, rowing, isolation work, unilateral work, 3 to 6 reps, 6 to 10 reps, 10 to 20 reps, high intensity, 0 to 3 reps in reserve. You cannot participate in bodybuilding without focusing on strength training. I'm trying to show you that there is an overlap. As a natural lifter, you have to push yourself. You have to try to get stronger. The load you're lifting has to challenge your current level of fitness. Up until recently, I thought bodybuilding was lightweight fluff work. If I ever did a set of curls, I would just do them until they burned a little bit and then stop. RIR 15. I didn't associate squats, presses, and deadlifts with bodybuilding, but they can be as much a part of bodybuilding as they are a part of powerlifting. Part of the reason I thought this way is due to the fact that steroided out bros who don't actually know how to train, they get huge from drugs, they go to the gym to just pump up, and then they sell that as bodybuilding training. I see this in powerlifting too. Guys on steroids who tell skinny natties that they need to work on, just do a heavy triple once a month and do some speed work with 50%, do some band pull-aparts at Mach speed. This is not how you get stronger. So wrapping things up, you should do more than just squat, bench, deadlift if you would like to be more muscular. And you should do more than just squat, bench, deadlift, even if you're only concerned with strength and performance. Fortunately for you, both of these things walk together hand in hand. Bodybuilding for a beginner will improve hypertrophy and strength with more bias towards hypertrophy. Powerlifting for a beginner will improve hypertrophy and strength with more bias towards strength. But nowadays, it seems like hypertrophy for a beginner falls under the umbrella of powerlifting. Just do squat, bench, deadlift, that's all you need. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to discredit powerlifting. I'm simply trying to bring up bodybuilding by discussing some misconceptions that I had. And that's really the inspiration for making this video. I understand why bodybuilders on YouTube are trying to reclaim bodybuilding because it has got a bad reputation. I even find myself having to say natural bodybuilding because bodybuilding and steroids are so intertwined that I need to include natural as an asterisk. Maybe one day bodybuilding will have a healthy connotation. That's part of the reason why I'm making this video. Thanks for watching, and always remember, trend on time!